Building on what we did in episode 1, which was keyword research with Market Samurai, today we're going to take a look at using the SEO competition module. Now, the SEO competition module is probably the least used of the Market Samurai modules, yet it's probably one of the most powerful. This module allows you to see the bigger picture of the top 10 rankings in Google, and it gets to show you if you could actually compete for that term with a reasonable budget and a reasonable timescale. So what we're going to do in the screencast is we're going to identify a term that we just can't rank for, and this is going to be a term where there's either a lot of big brands ranking, or there's just going to be a lot of companies with big SEO budgets who we just can't compete against. Then we're going to identify a term that's kind of average ranking, where if we put a lot of work into it, we could get some good results there. And finally, we're going to identify a term that's going to be super easy to rank for. Now, this is going to be a term where you could build a Squidoo lens or a hub page around the term, and then with a few backlinks, you could have the site ranking in the top 5 results within 6 weeks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over to the SEO competition module, which is found on the left-hand side. And from here we're going to take a look just around this module and see what we can actually do with it. Okay, so as you can see, there's quite a lot going on here. And what I'll do first is I'll give you a rundown on all the different options that we've got on this page and all the different columns that you can see, and then we'll filter down because we don't actually need everything. A lot of people tend to pull a lot of information through, but as you'll have seen in our first episode, I actually like to keep things really simple so we're not over-analyzing things. Just like with our keyword research, I think it's always easier to see by example. So let's get some data up on the screen, and then we can go through the columns, and then we can remove the ones we don't actually need, and then we'll get a better understanding of what everything actually is and how it all pulls together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this generate result button, and as this can take some time, I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll see you back when we've got some results. Awesome, we got some results back from Google, and now we can begin to use this data to understand just what's going on the screen, and more importantly, how we can use each of these columns to work out how difficult a term is going to be to rank in Google. One of the things that I like most about Market Samurai is the top level overview that it gives you of the top 10 results in Google. And before we've even understood what each column represents, we can see that there's a lot of red data on the page here. Now, red normally means warning or difficult, and this term is no exception. There's a lot of red here, there's a lot of orange here, and there's hardly any green. So you can see straight away that it's going to be a very difficult term to rank for. So what I want to do now is I want to go through each column one by one, just so you can understand what each column represents and what it means, and more importantly, how this data affects how difficult a term is to rank for. So the first few columns are really easy to understand. The first column on the left is just the location of the keyword on the first page. So 1's obviously the highest ranked on that page and 10's the lowest. Next column is the URL. Now again, it's really obvious, it's just the URL that's ranking on that first page. And the next column is domain age, which is how old the domain is. And the fourth column is the page rank. Moving on, we have the index count, which is just the number of pages that appear in the Bing index. And then we've got the referring domains. Now, what the referring domains is the total number of unique domains with backlinks pointing to a specific domain. What that basically means is, in English, is the number of websites or unique domains out there that have got links pointing back to our site. The next one is the referring domains page. Again, this is the number of unique domains with links pointing to our specific page. So rather than any page on the domain, these links are just pointing to the result that's showing in Google. We've then got page backlinks. This is the total number of links pointing to the page. And then we've got the backlinks to domain, which again, very similar, but this is to the domain as a whole. Then we've got BLEG, which in this instance stands for .edu and .gov links, and these are all links pointing to the domain from .edu or .gov sites. Then we have DMOZ, which is the site listed in the DMOZ directory or not. Similarly, we have the Yahoo directory, is the site listed in the Yahoo directory. Then we've got the title. This refers to, does the keyword that we're currently checking appear in the title of the page? URL, does the keyword appear in the URL of the page or the domain? Then we've got the description. which again, self-explanatory. Does the keyword appear in the description? And finally, does the keyword appear in the header tags? These are your H1, H2, H3, and H4 tags that help determine how important and how targeted a page is to a specific keyword. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of data on the page, or feeling you don't understand it fully, that's okay, because a lot of this information is actually irrelevant and we don't actually need a lot of these numbers to determine how difficult a term is to rank for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear up a couple of the columns that I don't think are really that needed. And based on my experience and my successes, it's proven me right and I've been justified in removing these columns. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the index count, because what we're looking for is how difficult the page and the term is going to be to rank, not the site as a whole. If I was building up a massive site and I wanted to compete with the big boys and I wanted to compete in terms like running shoes or any of the other big terms, then I'd worry about this a little bit more, but as it stands, I'm not really that bothered. The next thing is going to be the referring domains. As I mentioned, this is the total number of unique domains with backlinks pointing to a specific domain, or in this case the domain that's listed. And we don't really need this because we get the information further and we can get it from elsewhere. And to be honest with you, lately I've been a bit skeptical of the quality of Majestic SEO, and I like to do my own independent checks as well. So we'll just remove this. And likewise the referring domains to the page, I don't really like it, it just gets in the way. So what we're left with is the page backlinks, and that's the total number of links pointing to a specific URL, and the domain, which again is the total number of links pointing to the domain as a whole. We've got the .edu. That's quite useful because we can use this to see just where these links are coming from. And we've got the DMOZ. We can remove this because it's not really that needed. And we've got the Yahoo directory again. We can remove this. The on-page stuff, that's quite useful because we can tell how optimized the page is. And likewise, I like to have a look at the domain age, but we can actually remove it because it's just more data getting in the way. And the page rank, it gives us an understanding of how established that specific page is, and it's more relevant to the page rather than the site, so we'll keep that in there for now. So as you can see, this is actually quite a difficult keyword to rank for because we've got quite a lot of red here, and the sites tend to be well optimized. If they haven't got it in the URL, they've definitely got it in the title and description in the header, with the exception of running warehouse, but that's got quite a lot of domain links and quite a lot of page links. So as a whole, this is quite a difficult keyword to rank for. So what we should do is we'll go ahead and take a look at a slightly easier one. And to do that, I just need to jump back into my keyword research module. And you can see we've got our results back with all the filters preset. So what I'm going to do is going to scroll down the list to find the next keyword. If you just bear with me a second. Okay, so I couldn't see the wood for the trees there. Now that we've got the results all sorted now, I can actually go through and find a keyword quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is, this looks to be an interesting keyword. The competition is quite low and the search volume is quite high. The other one that I might look at would be either salmon or Asics running shoes. But what I've found in my experience is that terms with a brand in there, sometimes you have to compete with the brand itself. And if the brand's quite a strong one, then you're never going to rank number one. Or if you do, you'll have to put a lot of work into it. So for now, what we'll do is we'll click this key icon on the left-hand side of the keyword. And then, as you can see, it creates a new tab. So if we click into the new tab, and then finally we just need to come over here to the SEO competition module, click there, and we need to generate the results again. What I'll do is I'll pause the video here and we'll come back to it when we've got some results. Okay, so looking through my results set again, I've spotted a couple of keywords that really highlight my interest and could really do with some more investigation. The one that I'm going to look at is going to be lightest running shoes. So again, we click the key. This opens up a new tab. And then we just click the SEO competition module. I'll pause the video again while we get our results, and then we'll take a look at this term. Brilliant, so our results have been returned. And, well, I can't believe my luck, to be honest with you. This is an amazing term. And I can tell you that just from my years of research and going through this process. But I'll talk you through why this is such a brilliant term and why you need to go out and build a Squidoo lens or a hub page around this right now. First thing that we look at is the page rank. And as you can see, we've got a 3, we've got another 3. But it's not really a metric that we use, it's just a good idea, and it's not super competitive. The next thing, which is the most important thing, is the backlinks to the page. And the number 5 result has 13 links, whereas everything else has 3, 5, and 1. So this is going to be really, really easy to rank for. If you can't go out right now and build 13 links, well, I'll record a screencast and show you just how to do this, because it's so easy. I mean, by the time you've actually built a hub, a lens, you've submitted an article to eDesign Article, you've got a kind of 3 or 4 guest posts, and then you might have got some social media links to this, you're going to rank really, really well because you can already have those links. In theory, you only need 14, 15 links to compete on the first page and rank really, really well. Next thing that we want to look at is the on-site SEO, and as you can see, only 2 sites have actually bothered to try to optimize their page for this term. So if we jump back to running shoes, and then just go to the competition module, you can see that there's not as much green here. We've got 2 that have optimized, we've got a few that are trying to, and we've got very few where, in fact, we've got none where they haven't at least done some on-page SEO. So let's compare it to circulation shoes. Again, while there is quite a lot of green here, there's quite a lot of backlinks here. We're going up against Zappos, and I personally feel that it'd be easier to try to compete against some blog posts. We've got a search results here, and the rest seem to be the forum posts or blog posts, which are going to be really, really easy to try to outrank. So that's it. As soon as I discovered a keyword like this, I would normally rush out and register a Squidoo lens or a hub page hub, and then I'd produce a really, really high quality, maybe 500 to 1500 word article just all about the lightest running shoes that you can buy and why you should be using the lightest running shoes. If you haven't already downloaded Market Samurai, you can actually download a free trial using the link below. Now, full disclosure, it's an affiliate link, but I really, really appreciate you downloading through this link because it helps keep these IMCasts completely ad-free and it makes them publicly accessible to everybody. Building on what we did in episode 1, which was keyword research with Market Samurai, today we're going to take a look at using the SEO competition module. Now, the SEO competition module is probably the least used of the Market Samurai modules, yet it's probably one of the most powerful. This module allows you to see the bigger picture of the top 10 rankings in Google, and it gets to show you if you can actually compete for that term with a reasonable budget and a reasonable timescale. So what we're going to do in the screencast is we're going to identify a term that we just can't rank for, and this is going to be a term where there's either a lot of big brands ranking, or there's just going to be a lot of companies with big SEO budgets who we just can't compete against. Then we're going to identify a term that's kind of average ranking, where if we put a lot of work into it, we could get some good results there. And finally, we're going to identify a term that's going to be super easy to rank for. Now, this is going to be a term where you could build a Squidoo lens or a hub page around the term, and then with a few backlinks, you could have the site ranking in the top 5 results within 6 weeks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump over to the SEO competition module, which is found on the left-hand side. And from here we're going to take a look just around this module and see what we can actually do with it.